Well, last week the Government of India has passed 3 bills in the Lok Sabha that relates to reform in the agricultural sector. These are 3 farm bills, one pertaining to the agri market, the second pertaining to contract farming, where farmers get into deals with private players, and the third pertaining to essential commodities. Now, the larger idea is that these bills will actually open out certain legitimate market forces from coming into play so that farmers get a better price for their produce. So far, the farmers had very limited options in terms of the immediate mandi market being available to them to sell or buy produce. This, in a way, would remove those barriers. It would remove the constraints so that the farmers get better access to higher prices and also access to the market which is operating to buy and sell farm produce. But obviously there are arguments now on both sides whether this actually works towards the interests of the farmers or not. So let's take a look at both sides. Well, on one side the argument is that this is clearly in the interest of farmers, because what it does is it will obliterate the role of the intermediaries and the middlemen. In the name of regulation, we all know that a lot of these middlemen actually acted as bullies, and therefore the farmers would be at their mercy, and a lot of times in the name of regulation they do not get the fair price. The prices get decided by vested interests, where they are deprived of the real price for their produce. So once you remove these intermediaries and the concept of the mandi market and give the farmer multiple options beyond the mandi market, that allows him the scope to get a better price. So that is the first argument. Then of course the argument here is that once the process starts, there would be also this would be also a precursor for online trading, for digital trading, for electronic trading, and that will open out a whole new world to the farmers, creating an even playing field. And the government wants that those market forces should come into the picture and give the farmers their fair price, which would mean that the private entities, the big retailers, the agribusiness firms, and say the big companies would be able to come and make a deal with the farmers, will be able to sign contracts with the farmers directly without the intervention of any such licensing or regulatory authority. And this, the government believes, will work in their favor, because this will reduce marketing cost. In any case, the APMC tax will not apply anymore to the private players. There is no such tax, so therefore the private players and the big companies will be able to give a better price than the APMC market. And in the larger picture also, the government wants to do away with the stock holding of certain items, essential items in particular. So what essentially it means is that stock holding will be allowed. So the stock holding limits would be done away with, except of course for emergency situations, and those situations are also listed, which would mean then if you allow even those farmers to trade even in those commodities which will now be delisted from the essential commodities list, then the farmers can trade on those commodities also with the private players. So that could bring in investment in, say, cold storage, and it could modernize the supply chain networks. So a lot of investment could come in those areas which were hitherto prior to this not active, simply because these were listed under essential commodities. But what's on the other side? Well, on the other side, the argument is that removing the mandi system would be disastrous. It would expose the farmers to, say, vested interests, to rogue elements who will exploit the farmers' interests for their own profiteering. That's the primary argument against the bills, because what it would do obviously is that initially the private entities would offer a competitive price or higher prices than the mandi markets. But once the mandi markets become redundant and the entire concept erodes, then the private players could actually capitalize on the situation, and that would never be a good thing for the farmers. They would not be on an equal footing with big companies. Even say that if there is a dispute, they cannot in any way have the same wherewithal, the same resources as a big private player for dispute resolution. Obviously, the big companies would then use all power under their command to work out a dispute in their favor. Remember, in our country, 86% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers. They have less than 5 hectares of land. So for them to get into a direct contract with a big private firm is actually quite a tall order. So obviously a bunch of them would have to come together, which is what the government also proposes in terms of the aggregation concept. But that may not work out in the business. It doesn't always happen that the sponsors are willing to get into a deal with the multitude of farmers. So if that doesn't happen, then it defeats the purpose, because it would leave out bulk of the Indian farmers from this entire game. Also, removing the stockholding limits again has its own concerns, because once you do that, beyond a point, obviously the big companies would want to devise a pricing strategy that would be based on large scale profiteering, and the farmers may not get any benefit out of it. So therefore there is stiff opposition to the bills as well. There are many concerns that if you remove the safety net, the APMC market or the agriculture produce marketing committees in certain states act as some sort of a safety net. Well, one might concede that this is not a foolproof system. There are holes in the net, but that can be fixed. That does not mean you remove the net altogether, because by doing so you expose the farmers to the big private players who would have the money and the muscle power to exploit the situation. So those are the two sides. Thanks for watching Two Sides with Afrida.